This podcast is recorded and produced on the lands of the Turrbal people. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay respects to their elders, both past and present. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Fertile Ground, a podcast with Dr Jyotica Ruba. This podcast sets out to answer your questions about IVF, egg freezing, and why you might be struggling to get pregnant. We know the information around IVF can be a bit overwhelming at times, so we're keeping each episode nice and short and easily digestible. I'm your host, Annabelle Chappell, and I'm joined by fertility specialist Dr Jyoti. In this podcast, we're aiming to take the fear and mystery out of coming to see a fertility doctor, because as Dr Jyoti says, fear doesn't move anyone forward. So let's get started, if we can, Dr Jyoti, by getting to know you a little. How did you become a fertility specialist?
Well, it was a journey. I started obstetrics and gynecology training in 1996, and for the last 20 years I've been practicing in Canberra in general obstetrics and gynecology. And about 5 years ago I completed a master's in reproductive medicine and then joined Janaea in Canberra. And recently we've moved up from Canberra to Brisbane, and here I am.
And why the deviation from obstetrics to then concentrating on fertility in this way?
Well, fertility is a fascinating, fast-moving area full of innovation, and it's an area where I felt a great interest for a very long time professionally. And I think in obstetrics and gynecology, no matter where you fall in that field, there is always an element of fertility that we deal with, and it's an interesting area. So I love it, and I love helping people create the dream of having a family.
So for young Jyoti, what was it about medicine that pulled you in?
Well, it was my mother, actually. So bless her, she has just stopped general practice at the age of 84. And she was still practicing 3 days a week up until recently. And it was her inspiration that drew me to obstetrics. She was the first female general practitioner in Newcastle. And she also did home births back in the 70s. And she was just absolutely inspirational. We used to walk together in the morning before uni, and she would tell me stories about her experiences in obstetrics and gynecology and her own experiences having children. So it was inspirational.
And what does she think of your career path?
Well, I think she's very proud because she tells everyone. And that can be embarrassing. But she's delighted, I think, that I've chosen this path, but wishes she saw me more often. I think she's, that's what happens when you're a busy practitioner.
That's mother life too. They always want more of you.
It's so true.
And what about the move to Brisbane?
Oh, it was very exciting to come up to Brisbane. And after quite a while in Canberra, as you can imagine, the winters are a little bitter. And it was getting harder to live through those winters, even though Canberra was a beautiful place to live, very small community and very tightly knit. It's been amazing coming up to Brisbane, enjoying the weather and the extremely friendly people. People are lovely here.
So what aspect of your job as a fertility expert do you find the most rewarding?
I just enjoy helping couples achieve, their goals and their dreams. And I know that I have a great deal of empathy for couples going through that difficult journey, and I know what can be ahead for people having managed pregnancies for over 28 years. I love the ability to be available to help everyone on their fertility journey, whether it's the individual, whether it's the heterosexual couple or the same-sex couples. And I enjoy every single journey it takes me on as well as them. It's just amazing. And it's a privilege to be part of that journey.
And there are so many fertility clinics in the country. What was the reason you wanted to partner up with Jyotica in particular?
I think that Jyotica is a very well-established fertility company. They have been around for a very long time, about 30 years in the market in Australia, and they have the most outstanding pregnancy results. They care very much about their patients and the experience that they have through Jyotica, and they are extremely reputable. Jyotica has some of the best scientists. They have the best laboratories and the best equipment to grow embryos in. And they even have their own specifically made transport media for the embryos. And we know through all of this technology, we're able to hopefully give people a greater chance of achieving a family.
And so what are you hoping people will get out of this podcast? Why did you decide to do it?
I think it's important to have up-to-date information explained in a relatable way within the particular situation this couple finds themselves in. So I hope that over this, the next few chats that we have, that people understand what the latest information is, what the latest technology is, how it may help them in their journey, and hopefully understand that I'm very approachable and I only wish them the best in their fertility journey in terms of taking home a baby, if that's what they want to do.
Well, I think that's a perfect spot to wrap up our first episode. In the next one, we'll be heading through those clinic doors and explaining what to expect on a first appointment with a fertility specialist. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Jyoti.
Oh, thanks so much, Annabelle. It's been wonderful speaking with you, and I look forward to the future where we can discuss many more topics on IVF and the issues around IVF.
If you'd like to talk to someone about your fertility, you're welcome to contact Dr Jyotica Ruba's rooms, or for a free conversation, contact Jyotica's fertility advisor team on 1300 361 795. If you need a referral to see Dr Jyoti or one of Jyotica's other fertility specialists, our fertility advisors can book and organise a bulk billed telehealth GP appointment.